What's up, everybody? Welcome back to CJ Does. I'm CJ, and I have this idea to make a really big D20, for Dungeons and Dragons, because I have a lot of other Dungeons and Dragons-y things I like to make. And before I make a really big one that's going to be too big, I wanted to make a prototype, something a little bit smaller, but still fairly large and kind of with the same material properties of what I'm going to try and make it out of. So that is where I made this D20 out of some foam board and 3D printed parts. So let me show you guys how I made this and how you can make one yourself. So the first part of building a D20 out of foam board is getting out your foam board and getting out your D20 sides and then gluing those down to your foam board so you can cut them out a little bit easier. All it takes is just a little glue stick on some paper and you're good to go. And I just trimmed this part off the top of the other page because I didn't want to waste all that paper. Now for cutting out the triangles of each of the sides, I tried a couple different techniques. I don't know that any of them was better than the others, but I did all this actually freehand. So first I tried cutting them all out as individual triangles and seeing how that went. Just using a really sharp hobby knife is all you need to cut through the foam board. And just like that, we've freed our first of the 20 sides that we need to make this D20. So the next technique I tried was trying to cut out the entire hexagon of sides, and then seeing if that was a little bit faster. I could cut out the hexagon and then just do straight cuts along it, kind of like cutting a pizza, and seeing if that was a little bit faster. It was not actually any faster, I don't believe, to cut it out this way. Just cutting them individually or doing it this way, it seemed to take the same amount of time either way. they are all cut out. All 20 sides. And you can count them if you don't believe me. And we're on to assembly. These green pentagonal pyramids were printed on my 3D printer, and I'm just going to use a little hot glue here to stick them on. The pentagonal pyramids are what connect all of the sides of the icosahedron, or the D20. So this was just kind of gluing them all onto one of the sides. Now, I started by trying to glue these onto a couple of the sides, and you'll see that in the future. This was a mistake that I made, actually. So I glued them all onto that one side, the 1 of the D20, and here's the 20, and I'm just adding a little hot glue on this one as well. And I'm just adding them onto a couple of the sides that I thought were going to be able to align with one another, but like I said, this was a mistake. What I should have done is started with one side and then just kind of slowly built out from there, because you'll see in a little bit what happened when I made the mistake and how I have to correct it. So the connectors are really easy to kind of line up. You just have to make sure that the triangles are kind of equilateral and making sure that they're connected and flush at one end. And then they kind of just all line up and work out pretty well. I do kind of wish, see, this is me doing it wrong. Let's try that again, flip it around. But one thing I kind of wish I could have done that I wasn't able to on this was cut the foam board at a bit of an angle, or the correct angle, for the D20 sides to line up correctly and just kind of sit flush to one another. So after I had those connected, I was able to connect more sides to the 1. So there you can see the 13 and the other side. So here's the 20 side, and we're going to kind of do the same thing here. We have the 14, the 8, and the 2. And we just kind of connect those and add them on. We're just going to check the D20 for the orientation, make sure that's all correct, and we'll just move that on, and we'll make sure it's in the correct spot. We can just glue it on nice and easy. Again, kind of wish I could have gotten the angle right there so that they would have been flush and looked nicer. But it's a prototype, and we'll move on to the next one, and when we do the next one, we'll keep that in mind. So remember when I said that gluing these on before really taking a look at it was a mistake? Well, this is where that mistake shows itself. So I had glued that piece on, and the 7 connects to the 17, and if they both have connectors there, kind of have to rip one off, and it was just terrible having to rip that off. I was a little worried that I wasn't going to be able to get it, but you know, you live and you learn, and this is a learning experience. This is why we build prototypes like this, so that we can move on and glue this all back together. So we connect the 7 and the 17 there, and then we move on and add the 3 and the 10 next. one more where we just have to pull it off because we made a mistake. We glued one on too soon before we really looked at it. Had to pull one off. And all we do is glue on the final panel, and we have ourselves a foam board and 3D printed D20. Let's go see if it works. See if we can roll ourselves a crit. Oh, it's a crit fail. Try again. Critical success! So I hope you enjoyed following along as I built this giant D20. Don't forget to check out the description below for all my social media and other ways you can help support the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for all the notifications whenever a new video comes up. There's a lot of ways you can make something and do something, but this is what CJ does. Thanks for watching.